Friends, we're live. Good to see you here. CFLW, the show for this Friday, June the 13th. I hope you guys are doing well. Coming up in our live stream, we're going to be talking about the development of some thunderstorms across the area again on this Friday afternoon. Going to break down the weekend forecast, kind of the overall pattern that I expect for us here as we get into the weekend and into early next week. We talked about in the last live stream kind of a big pattern shift, and we'll see if that will continue or if we're going to be staying with the same kind of showers and storms that we've had lately as well. As we get started, as you guys know, CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. There on the bottom of your screen, their logo. It is storm season, friends, and they cover the entire state of Florida. So if a storm comes across your area, hail damage, wind damage, hurricane damage, heck, even if you had a burst pipe, you've been in an auto accident, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process, offering free consultation and policy reviews. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Good to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. If you guys haven't joined me on the Media Mundo channel, and I'm trying to remember the last time I did a live stream here, I think it was Tuesday. I didn't have this on my face. Fortunately, I had a small area of skin cancer right here, just above my right eyebrow, which I had to have removed on Wednesday. Basal cell, it's the most treatable form. It's actually not the first one I've had on my face. About 4 years ago, I had one on the side of my beard. And the interesting thing is I even had another one on the other side of my beard this time, but they think that they got all of that with just the biopsy shave. So I have to wear this pressure patch until tonight, and then I can take it off and, whatever. But hopefully they got it all. Wear your sunscreen. I appreciate you guys for all the kind comments that those have given who have been joining me on the Media Mundo side. But again, just a little thing, but I've got to wear it. I'm just going to stay on camera, when I'm doing the recorded video sometimes, and I've got this thing on, but you guys know me well enough, and I don't think it's much of a distraction. Hey guys, how you doing? Jaden in from Aruba. Yeah, I saw that you guys had a lot of flooding, and I saw that you also either sent in a picture or a video, Jaden. I appreciate that. As I was checking the email before I came on, I will look at that more intently, and I will have the Caribbean forecast on Media Mundo coming up a little bit later today. Hey Blue Goose, how you doing? Yeah, a steamy 94, 60% humidity. Yep, a lot of low-level moisture with them clouds, still even just that touch of haze in the sky in a couple of areas. Farah, good afternoon to you. Hey, Therese, how you doing? Kissimmee, today through the weekend, I got you covered. That's exactly why you're tuning in right now. We're going to look at the forecast. That's exactly what we're going to do here on this Friday show. Today, Saturday, and Sunday, the forecast. Summer is here big time. Yeah, an hour and a half, 90 minutes in a row. Hey, I know you guys have been dry, Jaden, in Aruba, so I hope that's not flooding rain. But and I know you said it is flooding. I hope it's not a lot, but obviously we can get too much in too short of amount of time. All right, so let's get into our forecast, friends. Great to see you guys. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. If you're just tuning in, you're looking at the live radar here out of Melbourne. A few scattered showers developing. I've got temperatures on the board for you right now, which at the 1 o'clock hour in a lot of locations have already streamed up into the 90s. But this time of the year, that's only part of the story. Dew points, as you can see right now, in Orlando, in Leesburg, and back towards Inverness, and even towards the coastline, Titusville, are in the lower 70s. So when we look at the dew point right now, and again, that's the indication of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. The higher the number, the thicker the humidity outside. You can see some upper 70s. Anything above 70 is considered to be humid air. St. Augustine, 77 there. What's your dew point there, Blue Goose? That's probably right around 60% humidity if I had to guess. Their humidity value is 70% at the METAR site, so even a little bit steamier than you. But when we factor this in, the heat index, or the feels like temperature when you step outside, is knocking on the door of 90 degrees everywhere. And again, let me do one other thing real quick here, guys. When we get in close like this, I like to switch over to this grayscale map. It's just a little bit easier for you guys to see some of that terrain here as we get close. You kind of get different colors. I like the more uniform colors. Anyway, 100 right now near Lakeland, 100 in the Brandon area of the east side of Tampa, 98 Vero Beach, 96 Palm Bay, Melbourne, 99 in Orlando, 98 in Oviedo, 101 as it feels like temperature in Titusville, 98 in Daytona Beach, a crisp 100. You got yourself the Benjamin there in St. Augustine. Same thing in Alachua County up near the Gainesville area towards Stark, and then Ocala in at 94. Inverness right now looks to be the hottest along with Titusville at 101. Oyster Creek area, 64%. Yep. That's pretty good. So we're seeing a few showers right now. If you take a look at the radar, we're just beginning to see the East Coast sea breeze begin to march in. And again, this is the pattern that started on Wednesday when we talked about it, you know, on the Monday show, that we would have a pattern flip. This is what's happened. Now, the storms that I came on and I covered live on Tuesday evening, I got hammered. I had like 6 inches of rain in my area in the west side of Orange County. It was rough through portions of Orlando. Now that the pattern has kind of flipped a little bit, it's allowed most of the storm activity to move a little bit farther towards the west coast, which is good because it has been the west coast that has been the driest. But again, surface winds on your map. We still have a southeast flow for today, so the showers have been developing here. The east coast sea breeze will march on shore and push the showers and storms mainly from the southeast to the north and to the west. That'll be the general trend for the remainder of today. So that's what it looks like live. Speaking of live, you know, we got to get over to our live cam, so let's do that. We'll start off. Oh no, Winter Garden is down right now. It's okay. Live look to Conway. Might actually be able to reset the camera there in just a second. But a live look to Conway for you guys right now. Again, scattered clouds in the area, billowing up. Now again, the showers are going to be moving in from east to west for today. So we are looking at the direction that we would see those showers moving across the area. So the opportunity here, you know, as we go through the remainder of the live stream, to maybe catch a shower from this Conway cam. I don't think anything that's going to be developing here in the Conway area is going to be that extensive. We might have a couple of passing showers beginning to develop. Again, the proliferation of the showers and storms today will probably be a little bit later into the afternoon hours and along our west coast. Doesn't mean we're not going to get a couple of heavier showers to develop along I-4 towards I-95, but again, that opportunity will be a little bit more sparse for today with that southeast surface breeze. On over to the Disney camera for you right now. Live look outside to the attractions. This is the Lake Buena Vista area. And again, you'll always find live information on the bottom of your screen on our ticker, live updated conditions across a lot of Central Florida, updating in real time for you guys. Again, still a little bit of murky sky here, a bit of overcast conditions from time to time at Lake Buena Vista, but so far so good with dry conditions there. And again, there'll be the opportunity for a couple of showers. Summertime is here, so it's all about how the sea breezes are going to be playing out over the next few days and whether we get any enhancement to those sea breezes. Again, you know, what we had on Tuesday was an enhanced sea breeze thanks to a lot of upper level energy. So, you know, is that going to be a factor as we go through the weekend? We'll talk about that as well coming up. All right, back over to the weather computer. Go back over here and bring that up for you guys. And then let's check out our visible satellite imagery and our radar data at the same point in time. And I'll put this into motion so you guys will kind of get an idea of how things have played out over the last several hours for us here. Now, the showers along the west coast have been more running right up the coastline, more due south to due north, but our east coast sea breeze will begin to take some of the showers that have been offshore and march them inland. So generally across the peninsula, we will get an east to west progression, but along the coastal waters, we've had showers and storms for the morning hours, just ample moisture flowing in with this rich southerly flow. You can clearly see on this visible satellite imagery, the clouds developing here in the northwest side of the Bahamas and then streaming their way to the north and west across our area, which again is going to aid in the development and the lift of the showers and storms a little bit later in the day. Risk for severe storms for today. Well, there is not an actual risk from the SPC. That's good news. Again, this light green, all this light green simply is the general thunderstorm risk across the southeast. You get into the darker greens, that's the 1 out of 5 in the scale. It's considered to be marginal, but I do want you to notice how widespread the thunderstorm activity is expected to be from really the high plains all the way into the southeast. A couple of areas of more intense activity, but I don't expect that to be the case here in Florida. Now, I'm not going to rule out a couple of stronger storms. You know how it goes with this sea breeze, but is there going to be anything that gets very organized? No, at least for the remainder of today. Your main threat are going to be winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour and some heavier downpours. And I would favor the I-75 corridor for that to happen as well. Let's bring on the enhanced satellite imagery here and take a look at that. You'll see the higher cloud tops beginning to develop. While I have that on, I'm going to bring on our wind gusts as well, because we've had some gustier winds from time to time. And as always, you guys have a specific question about the forecast, please feel free to drop it down in the comments section below. right? So we're starting to push some of the rain a little bit farther inland at this point in time. You know, at the 1 o'clock hour, we haven't had a lot so far, but a couple of showers here that have skirted portions of Brevard County. You can see those working in. Let me back this time down just a little bit here. We don't need to go that far out in time. Let's just go at the last 2 hours here. You can see some of the brief passing showers. My friends in Brevard County, you've had a little rain there towards Mico, Grant, Valcaria, Malabar, Palm Bay, the Melbourne area, 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts here in the last hour, up towards the Sun Tree, Pineda areas, and then kind of drifting again west. So you'll get a couple of showers along I-95 in a gentle variety during these early afternoon hours, and the storms will become a little bit more widespread farther off towards the west. Again, great to see you guys. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you, Blue Goose, for the kind comments for that as well. Again, I have my Lean Law tumbler, got my Publix Diet Green Tea, and I'm good to go. So we'll get into the forecast now, guys. And again, we'll break down the HRRR model for today. Then we'll take a look at the weekend forecast. You guys have any specific questions, you know, let me know. Hopefully, Teresa will answer your questions about Kissimmee coming up, but we'll get right into it. So again, no risk for severe storms generally for today, but let's break down how the sea breeze is going to be playing out. So let me bring up the HRRR model, and I'll switch over to the timeline, and we'll break it down. So we'll start at 3 o'clock. And again, the HRRR, hang on, wrong one. I was playing around in the background here. So I actually had up the NAM model. I like to try and take a look at, obviously, a lot of things before I come on and do these live streams. And I'm obviously keeping an eye on Florida's weather, the United States weather, and the Caribbean weather this time of the year. So I'm jumping back and forth through a lot of different things. So we are going to start to see a bit of a pattern change again towards later in the weekend. Still today, we're going to be favoring storms that'll be moving kind of in a southeast to northwest variety overall. But you already saw the storms along the west coast today, even taking more of a due south to north trajectory. And overall, we might kind of slip into that pattern in general as we get into latter portions of the weekend. So this is 3 o'clock today, Friday the 13th, by the way, right? Friday the 13th. Nothing, Therese, is going to affect us right now tropically in the East Pacific. We can look at the tropics as well too, but you know, could there be down the road, and I mean down the road, we get that Pineapple Express where we start to see a little bit of that moisture from the East Pacific stream back over Mexico and the northern Gulf Coast and then get back into our area? You know, it's a possibility, but I haven't seen that in the shorter term, and what I mean by that, 7-day model. So the answer, at least at this point in time, is no. So you're going to see here again, and we'll take a look at the various models. The HRRR does try and develop a few thunderstorms a little bit closer to the Orlando area this afternoon. And again, some of these could be on the stronger side. And so look, you know, I'll be monitoring the situation, but regardless, we could see some heavier downpours, a lot of lightning with these storms today as well for places like Oviedo in the UCF area there east of downtown Orlando, Winter Park on over towards Azalea Park, and then a few more storms in Osceola County. That's kind of the first initiation that would then line up into interior Volusia, Flagler, and back into St. Johns counties. And then those storms just kind of push west in general. You know, there's not as much of a mid and upper level wind flow out of the southeast today. It's more surface based than anything. So these storms could kind of meander a little bit, just like Tuesday, right? Now that was much more of a concentration of storms that came together on the sea breezes, and they got pinned there off of old outflow boundaries as well. A lot of the old outflow boundaries today are along I-75 from the storms yesterday. So you'll still see, you know, we will have a better chance for a few more storms across I-4 today. That's what I'm trying to get at. But then we should still generally progress these storms farther west, higher concentration late this afternoon and evening along I-75. And those storms will be a little bit slower moving as well. So for portions of Alachua, Marion County, Ocala, back down to Silver Springs, the Bellevue area, Villages would be included in this as well. Get the Gulf in early. Wildwood, Leesburg, Lake Pan to Bushnell, Sumter County, western interior sections here as we get into Claremont. And then again, eventually 9, 10 o'clock, most of the activity is along I-4 and off to the west, and obviously dying down as it does so. But just not as much of a, you know, very congregated procession out to the west, if you will. Last couple of days, they've been very much in line where they've just kind of gone from east to west in a very smooth fashion. Today, there could even be a little bit of back building back towards I-95, but generally speaking, we're still going to progress east to west, but it could be a little bit more slower, could be a little bit more erratic activity. So I'll be monitoring the situation. Again, I'm not expecting anything to more than likely become severe, but your threats will mainly be winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour and potentially some small P to, dime-sized hail, right? And some of those, again, cores could be over Lake and Sumter County, Polk County, eastern sides of Citrus, Pasco, Hernando counties later this evening. I'll be monitoring the situation for you guys. So that's what it looks like for today. Let's pick up the HER bottle for tomorrow. Obviously, we'll start off mainly dry, and I'm going to kind of go out a little bit wider. There is more juice in the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico to play with over the weekend as well. So we're going to start to see the encroachment of some of that as we go through the remainder of our Saturday. This should begin as surface winds out here turn more south and west, and because I'm mentioning them, let's bring on these surface winds. Take just a second here to loop this up for you guys as well. Generally speaking, we'll start to see more of a south to north push with the storms beginning on Saturday. There could still be a little gentle south, northwest movement, or even a little gentle northeast movement. You'll see that we have pretty defluent sea breezes over the weekend, right? They're not going to be probably smashing together as significantly. I'm still favoring west coast areas over the weekend for the better chance for showers and storms, and generally drier as you get closer to I-95. But no area is going to be completely dry. I mean, we are in the wet season, guys. The sea breezes are active. We're going to have just a little bit of a kick from the eastern Gulf over the weekend. That could provide us a little bit better chance for some storms then. So here's 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, right? Typically dry as we would expect to see. Then as we get to 3 o'clock, scattered storms beginning to develop. Notice again, the movement is kind of due south to north. We'll have maybe a string along and east of I-4, a string along I-75, but generally speaking, as we get into the heart of where the storms are going to be really getting cranked up, late afternoon, early evening, they'll mainly be along I-75, 275. So, places like Zephyr Hills and Land O'Lakes and Tampa and St. Pete, Brandon, even down to Bradenton and Sarasota, areas that could use more showers and storms, more wet weather. They're going to see a better chance for some storms there. And some of this, again, could linger into that 9, 10 o'clock time frame before potentially pushing back offshore. Now, back off. Hang on a second. There's so many things this darn thing can do. If I hit like the wrong thing, it just like tried to print the screen behind the scenes. Who needs that? I don't need that. Don't make that a feature. Anyway, you can see that these storms, I-4 and east, will pop up. They'll produce some heavy downpours and some lightning. You got to be prepared for that. But they won't be as concentrated in places like Orlando and Daytona Beach and Titusville and Melbourne and Palm Bay for Saturday. All right. And then as we get into Sunday morning, things will quiet back down. But you notice that there's just a little bit of a turn of the winds here, more kind of due out of the south. We'll pick this up with the NAM model for Sunday. I'm going to dump off the winds because we've talked about that enough. Bring on the reflectivity. It'll just take a second to load. I'll get back into it. Hey, East Florida Explorer, how you doing? Yeah, happy the 13th. I already mentioned that. It is one of them things, isn't it? Let's hope everyone has a good Friday the 13th. We don't need anything too scary. Luckily, we got nothing too scary out there. Tropically, things have been quiet. The East Pacific could be on their 4th named storm in a snap of a finger. Maybe the 5th named storm coming in about a week. It's unbelievable. Those have all kind of behaved too, but crazy how they've been very busy and we've been quiet, but we'll take that so far. So over to the NAM model here. Again, just to kind of show you the broad brush, still a bit of a kind of a east turn to the wind today, but then beginning tomorrow, right? Tomorrow afternoon and evening, you can see a little bit more of a slip back, maybe closer to I-4. And then for Sunday, again, a bit of a pattern change where storms will be developing potentially closer to the west coast to begin with, and then working their way back to the north and to the east. Now, still expecting a better chance for storms along the west coast and more scattered in nature I-4 to I-95 for Sunday. The NAM doesn't show a ton. Just to give you a perspective with that, I'm going to bring up the GFS model as well. And we'll take that out to Sunday night, making sure I got my dates correct. And again, if you guys have a specific question about the forecast, just like Therese has, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Happy to answer that. Hopefully, Therese, you're getting the idea that for Kissimmee, I'm expecting there to be obviously the summer heat. We'll talk about the temperatures. I've got some 3-day forecasts, but low 90s, 40 to 50% chance for storms, but nothing extremely concentrated. A little bit better chance farther to the west. Pretty typical summer, variety of storms for us in the afternoon hours. It's just how they evolve and where they move in the biggest concentration in the afternoon. That's the game we play every day here in the peninsula of Florida when we get into June, July, August, September, and even most of October as well. So again, we can see the bit of a swing more west to east. And then for your Sunday, again, we don't have a ton here on the GFS. Overall, probably a little bit drier. I'm still favoring Tampa, Bradenton, Sarasota, St. Pete a little bit more than what the models are showing for Sunday. I think we'll have a little bit more moisture there. Risk for severe storms for tomorrow, again, generalized thunderstorm risk. Generalized thunderstorm risk over the entire southeast, but any severe storms should be more confined to the Intermountain West, the high plains, and the plains in general. And then the risk for severe storms for Sunday, maybe a little bullseye over portions of Virginia and North Carolina, but we're back again into your general thunderstorm category risk. So that doesn't mean that each of the next 3 afternoons we won't have some isolated strong to severe storms. It's just nothing is going to be very organized, right? Can't rule out a pulse thunderstorm that gets up to that 60-mile-an-hour wind threshold. The one thing that I'm happy about, at least in my area, because I had so much rain on Tuesday, is there should be decent forward speed with most of these storms unless you get to the immediate west coast, and those storms could be a little bit more pinned along the coast, and those are the spots that we could have a little bit more locally heavy rain. And we'll look at that in a second. I'm going to check the Winter Garden camera. Ugh, it's still down. All right, whatever. Let's get into the forecast. This is what it looks like for Orlando for tomorrow. 50% chance for storms, 50 Sunday, 50 Monday. I'm just expecting our typical storms to develop in the afternoon hours, very scattered in nature. You'll have to watch out for the lightning, obviously, if you want to be outdoors, but nothing out of the ordinary for Orlando. 92 tomorrow, 93 Sunday, Monday, morning lows, that will be in the mid-70s. Again, one other reason why we're in the wet season and we're in the summer months is your morning lows don't drop below 70 degrees. In Tampa, again, better chance for storms over the weekend. 70% chance, some locally heavier rainfall. These are areas that could use a little bit more rain as well. So better chances there. Tampa, Brandon, down to Bradenton, Sarasota, St. Pete, Clearwater Beaches, places like that. 92 the daytime high over the weekend. Not much of a difference on Monday, but a little bit drier on Monday there. 93 and morning lows there in a lot of Hillsborough County that will only be slipping into the upper 70s. It is going to be quite steamy there. And then, no, what happened? There it is. Daytona Beach. Again, drier, East Coast, beautiful weekend. Great beach days if you want to get out there. The kids on summer break, kick them out of the house, have them do something. Always make sure you stay weather aware though in the afternoon hours. But the storm concentration from St. Augustine to Palm Coast and Flagler Beach, Daytona, Ormond Beach, all the way back down to Satellite Beach in the Atlantic and Brevard County, Mickle Barefoot Bay. It's a 40, maybe even 30% chance at best. So many dry hours and locations. Just watch for the storms. Tomorrow, you'll probably still see them develop right over the East Coast and then work their way inland. But Sunday and Monday, probably developing more interior and then trying to slip back towards the East Coast. I can't rule out a couple of storms just developing right over Daytona Beach, even Sunday and Monday, but probably more concentrated inland and then pushing back towards the East Coast. It's always tricky because you're looking offshore when you're at the beach. You're not turning your head inland a lot. So make sure you stay weather aware, that you're keeping an eye on the storms that might be developing behind you, especially on Sunday and Monday. Look for daytime highs there right around 90 degrees and morning lows only in the mid 70s. You got it, Therese, my pleasure as well. All right, so Again, back over to our live cameras, just take another look and see how things might have changed here a little bit. Live look to Conway, just again, a little bit of vertical development with the cumulus clouds today so far. Nothing that has really attached itself. We haven't really seen anything getting going early today so far. So fair weather clouds at this point in time. Nice little breeze. Again, we're going to have some winds 15 to 20 miles an hour in a lot of locations, and a little bit breezier from time to time. Again, a little bit of a murky sky here in the attractions area as we look back down towards the Magic Kingdom. But at this point in time, if you're headed to the attractions, it's more about the heat than anything else. All right, back over to the weather computer. Let's pick up a couple of other things I want to mention real quick. And again, you guys have a specific question on the forecast, feel free to drop it down in the comment section below while you're down there. Let's take a look at the overall temperature outlook for the 6 to 10 day time frame. We are going to be in store for continued hot weather here across our area. Again, we get into these darker reds. That is a high probability in the 6 to 10 day time frame of temperatures remaining above average. Now, this time of the year, it's not like we're 10 degrees above average, but staying slightly above average is going to be the general forecast here for the next 10 days, especially in the 6 to 10 day time frame. Again, we don't have to go much above our average, but it's not like there's a lot of areas I expect to actually be back into the 80s anytime soon. Unfortunately, we're also going to be a little bit drier than normal as well. Again, on this map, green areas indicate a higher than normal chance of being wetter than what we would typically see in that 6 to 10 day time frame. You see that for a decent chunk of the eastern half of the United States, except for Florida. So we expect the west to be dry, and we expect South Georgia and our area to be dry. As a matter of fact, into this brown, again, is a higher than normal chance to be below average precipitation wise in the 6 to 10 day time frame. So, you know, we're going to get some areas of concentrated rain, all right, but it may not be extremely widespread, where when you average it out in a 6 to 10 day time frame, most areas are actually slightly below average rainfall total wise. So what does the rainfall total look like here? Well, here it is on the GFS model. And again, you'll notice that it does favor kind of the West Coast over the next couple of days. So when we take a look at the actual rainfall totals, you know, near Bradenton, near Sarasota, St. Pete, Tampa, is it a ton? No. Is it more than interior? Yes. Will there be locally heavier rainfall above these numbers? Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll take a look at the HER model coming up as well, but this is the GFS. But again, you get the idea that in a general sense, the farther west that you live, the better chance you're going to have for higher rainfall totals. There's going to be more rain than this overall, right? You know, these models can underperform in the convective season with some of the prolific storms that we get in really small areas, right? Again, West Orange County on Tuesday had like 4 to 6 inches of rain. There was some pretty good flooding. There was some pretty good flooding in my neighborhood. I mean, just standing water, you know, water over roadways, things like that, you know, things that you just didn't want to see, you know, water's coming over the gutters, stuff like that. And it just didn't stop raining. But there was never a flood advisory, which actually surprised me, to be honest. I wasn't really sure why that wasn't the case. But you get the idea that in those scenarios, these models underperform. So when I bring up the HER model here, and this will just take us to tomorrow night, so it's not going to be nearly as much, but we'll single frame this tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. And again, we favor generally western areas. There's that redevelopment. You saw it on the HER model for today. So this is just to give you an idea. And the HER model, because it's a higher resolution model, can pick up better on the areas of convection. And this is what I'm talking about. You know, the GFS model had nothing more than what, an inch, inch and a half? But this convective nature of these storms, look, again, we're not going to say that this storm is going to develop here, but you get the idea that on this higher resolution HER model, which is why I love it, it picks up this convection much more, and there could be pockets of 2 to 4 inches of rain even east of I-4. Overall, better areas and more prolific west of I-4, and again, back into portions. There's Hernando and Inverness, Citrus County, Dade City right along 301, in the Tampa area, Brandon, Palm Harbor, Lutz, St. Pete, Pinellas Park. You get the idea. Just better opportunities for more locally heavier rainfall there. And this is what I expect to see. This is what I agree with more. When you get in the areas of 2 to 4 inches, but it is very localized, no doubt about it, right? So that's what I expect for the weekend ahead. Does anyone else have any specific questions for me? Happy to answer. Excessive rainfall outlook, just so we're clear, there is a very marginal risk of excessive rainfall across I-75 for today. And this is what I'm talking about. Localized heavier rain, potentially a flood advisory, potentially areas where we have ponding on the roadways, where we have some flooding areas in low-lying spots. And that's a possibility, again, as we truck a little bit into the western third of the area. And I'll be monitoring the situation again. If it's necessary to come on, I will. I'm not expecting there to be any widespread severe storms for today, so they'll probably cooperate in general, but it's not out of the question. Get back over to our temperatures here. I'm gonna actually bring on the visible satellite imagery real quick. And again, if you're just tuning in, appreciate you guys taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. Easy for me to say, right? And again, this is the general development of what we've already seen right now. We've had some pretty good storms along the western coastline so far on this Friday afternoon. You can clearly see those. So if you live in Bradenton, Sarasota, St. Pete, right up Pinellas County, Clearwater Beach, Palm Harbor, Holiday, then up towards Hernando and Citrus counties, Homosassa, Crystal River, the rain beginning to kind of move in there, cloudier skies. We've had a couple of passing showers even develop across Brevard County, a few little fingers of rain over portions of Lake and Volusia. This is the live look to the Melbourne radar right now. What do you say we take a look at that? Bring back on our live timestamp as well. Again, what are we tracking at the hour? A couple of showers with the sea breeze kicking in. Now west of I-95 there. Real spotty shower just west of Cocoa, moving its way west along 520. And then it will swing back up towards the beach line. And everything kind of trickling again in a kind of south-southeast fashion to north-northwest. All right, friends, I think that's going to do it for today's live stream. I appreciate you guys so much. Please remember that our CFLW channel is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews when a storm moves across your area, and they cover the entire state of Florida. So hail damage, wind damage, hurricane damage, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. As always, I'll be monitoring the situation, and if I need to come on live, I can. Thank you so much for tuning into the live part of this live stream. Again, this becomes a recorded version on the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. And you can always watch it back at your leisure as well, and many of you do. And you have a specific question about the forecast, even when you're watching the recorded version, you can drop it in the comment section below. I go back and answer those as well. If I don't see you guys over the weekend, have a fantastic weekend. Stay dry, stay cool if you can, and I'll be back for the next edition of the CFLW The Show, Monday at 1 o'clock, where we will be talking about, I think, again, trying to get a little bit better chance for showers and storms. At this point in time, next week on Monday, I do expect to talk a little bit more tropically, not for Central Florida, but potentially a little bit percolating and bubbling up in the western side of the Caribbean, and we'll look how that could be impacting the forecast a little bit closer to home towards the end of next week. Again, I'm not expecting anything tropically to develop, but a lot more rich tropical moisture moving back into the western Caribbean could ultimately have some impacts on our weather locally. So that's something I'll talk more about on Monday's show. Appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic weekend. And again, I'll be back on live if I have to, but if not, I'll see you guys for the next edition of CFLW The Show, Friday at 1 o'clock. Until then, thank you for liking and subscribing. Take care. I'll see you soon.